My name is Sarah Chen. I'm 42. And the day my brother tried to have me arrested for drug possession was the same day I had just finished dismantling the largest fentanyl operation on the West Coast. The irony wasn't lost on me as I sat in the back of the patrol car, hands zip-tied, watching Danny pace frantically on his manicured lawn while gesturing wildly at the officers. 20 years of keeping my career classified to protect my family. And this is how it ends, with my own blood trying to destroy me. She's been acting erratic for months, Danny shouted, his voice carrying that familiar, condescending tone I'd endured since childhood. Living in that ratty apartment, unemployed, probably dealing drugs to make ends meet. I found a bag of white powder in her jacket pocket, the bag of baking soda I'd been carrying to clean coffee stains from my surveillance van. The surveillance van that was currently parked 3 blocks away, equipped with enough federal monitoring equipment to coordinate a small war. Officer Martinez looked skeptical. "Sir, we need more than just look at her," Danny interrupted, pointing at my worn jeans and faded t-shirt. "Does she look like someone who can afford to live clean? She's 42 and has never held a real job, never contributed anything to this family, except embarrassment." The second officer, a young woman whose nameplate read Rodriguez, glanced at me with what might have been sympathy. I stayed silent. 20 years of undercover work had taught me when to speak and when to let others reveal themselves completely. Danny had always been the golden child. Harvard MBA tech startup that went public when he was 30, married to a pharmaceutical. Eyes living in this 8,000 QFT monument to his success. Our parents had made it clear from childhood. Danny was the achiever, the one who mattered. I was just the scrappy tomboy who'd barely graduated community college and couldn't keep a study job. What they didn't know was that I'd graduated summa cum laude from UC Berkeley with a degree in chemistry before being recruited directly into the DEA's elite task force. What they couldn't know was that my unemployment was actually deep cover assignments that had taken me from the cartel tunnels of Tijuana to the synthetic drug labs of Portland. My shabby apartment was maintained as part of my cover identity. My erratic behavior was the result of 18-month operations that I couldn't discuss even with my family. The lies had been necessary. Drug enforcement at my level meant death threats, kidnapping attempts, and organized retaliation against family members. So, I'd let them think I was a failure. Better their disappointment than their funerals. Sarah's always been troubled, Danny continued, warming to his theme. The officers were writing everything down. Dropped out of college, couldn't hold down jobs, probably has mental health issues. I mean, look at how she lives. He'd been building to this moment for months. Ever since our father died and left me an equal share of his estate, Danny had been pushing for a competency hearing. He'd hired lawyers, gathered evidence of my instability, and now this, trying to get me arrested so he could claim I was an unfit heir. What Danny didn't know was that I'd been investigating him for 6 months. It started with a routine financial analysis of a target's associates. Dr. Michael Harrison, DY's brother-in-law, had been flagging our algorithms for unusual prescribing patterns, opioids, stimulants, and benzodiazepines in quantities that suggested illegal distribution. When I dug deeper, I found the connection to DY's company, a patient management software that was actually coordinating pill mill operations across 3 states. My own brother was running a prescription drug trafficking network that had contributed to over 200 overdose deaths. The evidence was sitting in an encrypted drive in my jacket pocket, the same jacket Danny claimed contained drugs. "I think we should take her in," Martinez said finally. "Let her sober up, run some tests." "Wait," Rodriguez said, studying her tablet. "Ma'am, can you state your full name for the record?" "Sarah Michelle Chen." She frowned at her screen, then looked at her partner. They stepped away for a whispered conversation. Danny kept pacing, checking his Rolex, probably calculating how quickly he could get me committed and file papers to contest the will. Rodriguez approached me again. "Ma'am, we're going to need to verify some information. Can you provide some form of identification?" I nodded toward my jacket pocket. "Federal ID left inside pocket." Danny scoffed. "Federal ID? What is she claiming now? That she's FBI." Rodriguez carefully reached into my pocket and pulled out the leather credentials case. She opened it, and her expression changed completely. She showed it to Martinez, whose eyes widened. "Sir," Rodriguez said to Danny, her voice suddenly formal, "you need to step back." "What? Why? What's going on?" Martinez was on his radio, speaking in rapid, quiet tones. I caught fragments. "Federal agent, D. Need immediate supervisor. DY's confident expression began to crack. That's probably fake. She could have bought that online. Or Mr. Chen, Rodriguez interrupted. Please step away from the vehicle. But she's my sister. I called you. She's the one who step away from the vehicle now. Within minutes, 2 more police cars arrived, followed by a black SUV that I recognized. Immediately, Special Agent in Charge Victoria Reyes stepped out, her expression grim. Behind her came Agent Thompson from our task force, along with 2 federal marshals. Danny was backing toward his house now, all bluster gone. I don't understand what's happening. Sarah doesn't work for the government. She's unemployed. She lives in subsidized housing. Sac Reyes approached the patrol car. Agent Chen, are you injured? No, ma'am, just restrained. She nodded to Rodriguez, who quickly cut my zip ties. As I stood and straightened my jacket, Reyes turned to Danny. Mr. Daniel Chen, yes, but I don't understand. You're under arrest for conspiracy to distribute controlled substances, operating a continuing criminal enterprise, and money laundering. You have the right to remain silent. Danny's face went through a remarkable transformation. Confusion, disbelief, fear, and finally comprehension, as the federal marshals approached with handcuffs. Sarah, his voice was small now, nothing like the commanding tone he'd used while trying to have me arrested. Sarah, what's happening? I looked at him for a long moment. My little brother, who used to build blanket forts with me, who'd cried when I left for college, who'd somehow become a man willing to destroy lives for profit. I'm Danny, have been for 20 years. And you're the target of Operation Cleanhouse. His legs gave out. He actually sat down hard on his own driveway, staring up at me like he'd never seen me before. But you're a failure. You never did anything with your life. Mom and Dad said what I needed them to say to keep you safe. I crouched down so we were eye level. The apartment, the unemployment, the weird hours, it was all cover. I'd been living undercover for 2 decades to protect this family from the kind of people I hunt. DY's wife, Claire, appeared in the doorway, then screamed when she saw the federal agents in her yard. Their kids, my nephew and niece, peered out from behind her. The ironic thing, I continued, standing back up, is that all those years I was protecting you from drug dealers, you were becoming one yourself. 200 people, Danny, 200 families destroyed because you wanted a bigger profit margin. As the marshals lifted him to his feet, Danny looked around desperately at his mansion, his luxury cars, his perfect suburban kingdom, all of it built on addiction and death. I didn't know, he whispered, about you. I thought, God, Sarah, I thought you were nothing. I know, I said simply. That was the point. They loaded him into the federal transport vehicle. Claire was crying on the phone, probably calling their lawyer. The neighbors had gathered to stare. Denny's perfect life was unraveling in real time, broadcast live to everyone who'd respected and envied him. Sac Reyes approached me as the convoy prepared to leave. Good work, Chen. Clean operation. Thank you, ma'am. Take some time off. This one was personal. That couldn't have been easy. She was right. 20 years of letting my family see me as a disappointment. 20 years of missing holidays and family events to protect strangers from predators like my own brother. And now this, the bitter satisfaction of justice, served by the family failure they'd never bothered to really see. As the cars pulled away, I found myself alone on Denny's perfect street. The neighbors eventually dispersed, but I could feel their curious stares from behind curtains. By tomorrow, everyone would know. The unemployed sister who'd embarrassed the family for decades was actually the federal agent who brought down their golden boy. I walked the 3 blocks to my surveillance van, past the coffee shops and boutiques that had always made me feel out of place in my worn clothes. Now I understood that I'd never been out of place. I'd been exactly where I needed to be, doing exactly what needed to be done. My phone buzzed with a text from my mother. Just heard about Danny on the news. Please tell me you weren't involved. I typed back, I was involved. I was the one who caught him. The response came quickly. What do you mean? You don't work in law enforcement. I've been D for 20 years. Mom, senior special agent. I couldn't tell you because of security protocols. 3 dots appeared and disappeared several times. Finally, 20 years. 20 years. Another long pause. Then your father would have been so proud. I sat in my van for a long time after that, watching the sunset over the city I'd spent 2 decades protecting. Tomorrow, I'd start the paperwork on the biggest drug bust of my career. Tomorrow, I'd face the media attention and the commendations, and the inevitable questions about working a case against family. But tonight, I was just Sarah Chen, 42 years old, finally free to be exactly who I'd always been. Someone who dedicated her life to protecting people, even when those people thought she was nothing. The family failure had turned out to be the family protector, and for the first time in 20 years, that felt like enough.